Okay, we're just now starting the recording to show about masking. We've already opened up two pictures, created a mask on the smaller picture, which you can see here. And we're just going to mask out around the girl. So with a paintbrush, black paint. So the people in front, it's okay to have their heads kind of show through her or over her. And where you run into a bit of a problem is you have to adjust the size of the brushes you're working with. So I want to zoom in a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. And if you tap the X key, it will bring back what was there before. So it's about as good as you're going to get with her head, because if you make her any taller, she's taller than the man that she's next to. And to finish it off, we're going to have to actually extend her hair down here and maybe create a body here. But do all of you have, and whenever you're masking stuff off, I always turn off what we're masking into, just to see if there's any, you can see that I missed a bit there, I missed a bit here. See if there's any spots that I missed. I missed a spot up there. You can see the little spots that you missed. And if you want to go back and make some just a little bit more clear, like a little face, you can do that. All right. Are all of you about where I'm at, sort of?
I'm a little bit behind Shane here, but catch up.
Yeah, that's to be expected, Shane. We're going for technique more than the final output. Do you have a mask on that small picture?
I'm just cutting out her from the original picture at the moment.
Yeah, just get your rectangle marquee and select it. Control C to copy. Go to the next picture and Control V as in Victor to paste. Then add a layer mask by going down to your layer mask. I call it the square donut, but it's the layer mask button.
Did you put a bounding box around her to flip it or something? Did you? Or?
Oh, yes, I went to edit.
Yeah.
Transform, flip horizontal to flip her heads. That way she's kind of going in the same direction as her husband here. She's leaning into him. All right. To proceed any further, I'm going to have to just flatten it. Well, I'm going to flatten this image just to make it easier for me. So to flatten the image, I'm going to click on here and go to flatten image. So it's all one picture with her head in there. All right. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my clone snap. Now I'll slow down for you guys. To get this,
Lou, I have her face over. I have her face slightly over, too far over. Can I move her? Do I have to start at the beginning to move her over a bit?
No, if I just go back one step here, okay, I can click on my move tool and grab her head and move it. You see, I can move her here, but I'm trying to get her.
Or what picture are you in?
No, I'm on the layer that I'm on is on this layer here, which is the head layer. It's not the background layer at all.
Over on the head layer.
Yeah, see, I can just take a whole image and move it. And I can, by moving it, I can see where I've missed some stuff as well. If I go back to my mouse tool, I can get rid of those parts there. When you move it around, you can see, so there's a little bit right there by the guy's neck. I missed it. So I can go back to my paintbrush with black paint and get rid of that. Just make sure you go back to the move tool when you go to move it again. So she's going to be behind there. No getting around that. All right. Everybody happy to move forward?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go and flatten the image. And what I'm going to do is go to my clone stamp tool. And I'm going to use about 80%, somewhere around there. I got 70, that's fine. All I want to do is bring her hair down a little bit. So I'm going to hold my Alt key down, aim up here, click, just bring her hair down a little bit there. Okay. Now my brush is very hard and I should have got a soft brush. So I'm changing that to soft just for the edges. Okay. Now to make a top, I'm just going to give her a brown top. So I'm just going to use my paintbrush. Okay. I could take her top. Oh, let's just do it this way. We're going to take the material from here. In fact, we can take her whole shoulder here and put it into this picture here. Let's do that instead. So what we're going to do is get a rectangle marquee again and draw a box around Anne's daughter's torso. All we want is shoulder, arm. All right. So we have our arm there. Does everybody have the rectangle marquee around that area? Okay. So basically it's Control C to copy and Control V as in Victor to paste. And there's a layer right there. And going to the Move tool, we can move that up, but it's out of proportion, obviously. So we're going to have to Control T to transform, Control T, and grab the corner, and just kind of guesstimate where it's going to be right there. That's about all we need. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to create a layer mask again for this layer that we just created. So we're going to go down to our masking tool and click on the square donut, which is the layer mask. So we have the layer mask there. And to work with that, we need our paintbrush. And we need black paint. So we have those. I have a nice small brush, basically. I want to get rid of the dog collar and bring her daughter's head through here. discovered that's his t-shirt there, so he needs to be in front of her.
Took too much of her neck.
You turn it off and just kind of turn it on and off just to see if you're missing any bits. If you look at his eye here, I have a little rectangle there in the eye. That's the corner of the box. You have to be careful. That's why I always kind of turn it on and off just to see what it appears. Or I can turn off the picture. It's very hard to see again. So in a background like that. So just want to make sure we don't have any bits that we don't want on her face. A lot of times you have a corner showing up in someone's face. And so at this stage, I would probably flatten the image again. Now it's a bad habit to get an object of flattening things. I just kind of work that way. Probably shouldn't, but I'm going to flatten it just for ease. And what I want to do is I just want to clone stamp just a little bit here. And what I'm doing, I'm grabbing from here and moving it over there. You can see the little plus sign. It's on the edge of my circle. So I'm grabbing I'm holding the Alt key down, sampling and moving it over, and you can see that it's following that down. Just I don't want to get I want a little more neck there. I can bring that little neck down. Okay. Looks pretty good. I don't think most people would catch us out that we actually put her head in there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of take a look. Like this is before, and that's after. So before and after. I can see a little speck right here. If you watch when I switch between there on Anne's daughter's head, I missed a bit. See how that's little specks coming through? So you gotta be careful of that. So there's a few little specks here that I need to and while we're in there, we probably just I get my clone stamp to and take this little bubble that's on her arm right here. That's not hers, it's the material. To do that, your image should be flat, by the way, at this stage. It should be flattened. I get my clone stamp tool and I want to go to 100% opacity, soft brush. It's a very small soft brush because material is soft. So I'm just going to grab some of this right here. You can see me working down. Just grabbing a little bit to the left, see where the little plus sign is. So it's almost in the same area as I'm applying it. I'm kind of grabbing from a little bit below that. So that's a lot better. The other thing that we probably do in a picture like this, I check out my crop because there's a lot of stuff that's kind of distracting from the people. So I would get my crop tool, and my default is always 8x10, and I would just kind of take a look and see if I could bring it in a little bit from the tops to a point where I think that looks a lot better. And I'd check the angle for rotation just to make sure these lines are straight and the vertical lines are straight. That looks pretty good. So I've cropped in just, you can see the edge here where I cropped down a little bit and up just a tiny bit. I'm gonna hit enter. So that's the cropping done. Now we have lots of little spots and lights that aren't turned on that are kind of pulling our eyes away. So I'm going to get my spot healing brush and I'm making my brush a little bit bigger, and I'm using the bracket key, which is 2 keys to the right of the letter P. So it's about the size there of my inner brush. You can see it there. And I'm just kind of going over a couple of these shiny spots there that I don't want you to see. The black ones.
What tool is that you have?
That is the spot healing brush.
All right.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 7 down on my toolbar. It may be different on your toolbar, I'm not sure. The spot healing brush is really great for getting rid of small little objects and getting rid of areas that have little shines on them. Like for me, this can of beer here is kind of distracting to me. Okay. Now, I think with my spot healing brush, I could highlight that whole area. And I think it's going to do a pretty good job on it. Just replicating the pants down there. It might just take my pants down. Did quite well. You can see the result in the first go. And I might have to take my clone stamp tool to finish it off. And very carefully select just right here. And I'm at 100% opacity. And I can use a soft brush still. I'm just grabbing it from right there. And just follow the pants down. That looks a lot better. And let's get rid of this white thing between his legs. That doesn't look too good. So I'm going the opposite way. That looks a lot better. This across here is this little peak right here. Is that distracting? It is a bit. So I'm going back to my spot healing brush. And I'm going to probably lengthen her dress just a tiny bit. I don't think she'll mind too much if I do that. And just lengthen that dress down just nice. Other than that, the sockets here on the right, just select those real quick. And it's pretty good at getting those little corner right there at the top. That's it. Okay, the only other thing that we'd probably want to do is we probably want to try to sharpen this picture. Now, because the people in the front are relatively sharp, but the people in the second and third rows are not sharp at all, I'm probably going to get my Sharpen Tool, which is right here. It's not under anything, so it has to be a tool. It's like a little pyramid there. And I'm getting that tool, and I want it to be 100%. So at the top there on my options, I'm going to choose 100%. And I'm going to get a little bit of a bigger brush. And I just want to look for people that are blurry. So she can be a bit sharper there, but you don't want to go over too many times. You don't want her sharper than the people in the front row. She needs some sharpening. He needs some sharpening. She needs a little bit of sharpening. Now, when you sharpen things, okay, I went too far here. I'm going back. It became very pixelated. You have to be careful. So I can only go over her once, or else she becomes pixelated. You can see the texture there at close up. And him, he's really unsharp. I'm almost tempted to just try to do it a different way, because that's very limited what I could do on that Sharpen tool, because he's way out of focus. But that's a whole lot better than where they were. So that's all we can do with this one. As far as sharpening goes, the last thing I'd probably want to do is they have a bit of a yellow hue to them. All right. And Anne has, I think it's a broad line there. So we're going to fix this broad line here before we do anything else. We're going to get our spot healing brush. Once again, this is the easy way of doing things. And we're going to just go over, include the dress. And the program is going to look at what's on left or right, and did a pretty good job there. It missed it right here, and missed it right here. So when it misses it, you're going to have to get the clone stamp tool. That's why you have to know how to use it. And just clone stamp that back in and bring it over this way. So what I'm doing, I'm grabbing over here and applying it here. You can see the plus. See where it's applying to and where I'm applying from to keep that pattern going. That's just one mouse click. On the other side, I made my brush smaller. I'm going to grab a little bit to the right and apply it to the left. That's it. Now, if we were really nice, we'd probably iron this guy's shirt a little bit, but we know how to iron a shirt, right? You guys recall how we iron shirts?
No.
No.
On the retouching picture, we had a picture, we got a clone stamp and took our opacity to about 60%. And if you recall, we kind of sampled and just kind of, I'm going back and forth across the lines there. You can see the shirt's getting a little bit more smoother as I'm doing this. So I'm one a little bit slow here, so you can see I'm grabbing from here and applying here. See where this is slow motion. You see that? I'm applying from here,
yeah,
and bringing it here. Okay, so that's in slow motion. Just so you can see what I'm doing that. All I'm trying to do is basically blend in and blur out some of the areas so they don't look so wrinkly. That's all. That's it. Okay. Let's take a snapshot of this and just take a look at where we've gone from. Look at a shirt if you want. That's before and that's after. All right. So a little bit better. You don't want to go too crazy on it. The last thing on this picture is we want to go to Control B as in boy. And we want to adjust our colors. A little more blue in the picture.
Control what did you say?
B as in boy. That's your color balance. So I'm adjusting the two sliders. I pulled the red to the left, and I pulled the yellow to the right to make the skins less. Look at the preview. Do you see the preview change on mine? How yellow it is here, and I preview it. I can see the skin tones are a lot better.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to click OK on that. And I'm going to File, Save As. And put that on my desktop, in my case.
Luke, can I just ask the two lads there, the one with the blue shirt you just done, there are two foreheads of a nice shine on them. Is anything can be done with them?
Sure, yeah, let me just open up the picture again. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
right
one
here?
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, if you get
Go.
your clone stamp tool, and you work about 40% around there, I'm at 34%. On a graph from here, I click once, I'm applying it here. You can see where I grab from and where I'm applying it to. I click, and then grab from here and apply here. So it blends in nicely. So you grab from one side, grab from the other side. The same thing you can do for raccoon eyes, as we call them. This shadow underneath the eyes, it's just the light coming down from above. I can grab from here, very carefully just lighten that area a little bit. That softens that effect. And you want to make sure you don't go too far, but do that a couple of times. And shine, over here he has a little bit of shine. Same technique. I grab from the right, move over to the left, grab from the right and move over to the left. I'm sorry, from the right, left to the right, right to the left. And the jaw lines here, they're not very flattering, so I'm just going to soften the shadow and blend it. Same thing with right there. It's always the same technique. You're grabbing from above, bring it down, grab from below, and bring it up. Once again, right here, I'm grabbing from the right, going to the left, going from the left, apply to the right. Just so it blends in. So if you're working at about 50% or 40%, a couple clicks either both ways along those lines, it blends in those shadows. It's really nice. You can look at the picture. I mean, you can work on it for hours. You know, just kind of soften the lines and shadows and stuff like that. Just to a point where it's flattering to people. But you want them to be them. You have to be really careful, like when you have a picture with a hard shell, like especially if a flash goes off from the left or right, it creates these hard lines. You have to look at those lines and just be a little more compassionate toward people. You know, how you're going to deal with those lines there. And his little forehead, and then we're all done here. That's it.
Thank you.
Yep. So, file, save as, and it's a JPEG on my desktop. Yep. Replace it. And very quickly, just go to my Now we're just going to put this picture back to Anne. That's not the picture I want. Hang on. I want the new one. There it is. And when I send it back to you, I'll send it back actual size, so it's even bigger. So Anne, you can print that. It's 6.7 megabytes. And it should expand to around 20 megabytes, so you can actually print from that. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's close that one down. The next picture we're going to look at is Shane sent a picture of a doggy. A baby. So let's open up this one. It's number 0188. Donacha and dog. All right. The color looks pretty good. So the color's not an issue with this picture. And so let's open it up there because the color looks pretty good. There's no areas that the whites are blown out in. So it all looks pretty good as far as the exposure goes. Okay. Now, the question, Shane, are you there? Shane, can I talk to you
I'm
for a
here.
second?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want, is it okay if I take your
Yeah, that'd be good.
background and just change the whole background? Or is this place sentimental to you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing. Yeah, it's just it was one of those kind of grab your camera quickly and take moments. I didn't get a chance to focus or fix the background right like that. I just crawled over and lay on top of the dog. So yeah, to sharpen it and take it out of that scene, put it somewhere nicer if possible. Yeah.
Well, I think just like a dark background that has a little bit of dodge around it would be a nice little effect. So I think we can go that way, or we can go with a white background and just have like a halo kind of coming in. It's kind of your call. What do you prefer?
Yeah.
That doesn't tell me. Prefer
Yeah,
light or
maybe
dark?
the what light.
Okay, so we'll go with right. Okay, so white's pretty easy to do. I think what we're going to do is, this gets your burn tool. I'm sorry, your dodge tool. Your dodge tool is like a lollipop. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's get I'm going to get a small brush initially because I want to work around her head. I don't want to go into her head to do this. But you can see it. I want to take the exposure to 100%. So with a small brush, I'm just working around her head with a small brush. And it will make black white if you go over it enough times. So I just very carefully just kind of going around her head. Take it in small steps.
Which tonal range is that?
I have it on midtones.
What the heck on yours is white?
Yeah, mine is not white.
Mine
Oh, there's mine.
Okay, if you have the dodge tool,
Yeah.
the dodge tool should be making whatever's there white.
But it's not.
Wait, is it like this? Is
Yeah.
it kind of a,
Yeah.
yeah, because I'm going over it multiple times. Every time you see my thing go bigger and smaller, I'm kind of clicking and going in very small steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to go over it multiple
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it says 100%, but it's a dodge tool, not a paint tool. But I just want to get this outline of her body. It's kind of a key element there in her head. Okay. Oops. Shift key there. After that, I'm not too really concerned about it. Just get the
Does it matter if you go on the far round are we going?
well. I just want these are the key parts that, right here. At this stage, I could just get my paintbrush, okay, and with a small paintbrush, I can just with white paint, of course, I can just go. Now I have. Maybe with the bigger one. I'm using a tablet, so it's easy for me to draw around the dog. And I can draw around the baby pretty easy too.
You're using a pen.
I have a pen here at my head disposal, yeah. I have a mouse, you need to take a little bit more time. Now down here by the dog, it's kind of important to keep the detail of his nose in there, so I'm going with a much smaller brush.
Sorry, Lou. I have the white at the top and I have a paintbrush, but it doesn't seem to be painted white for me. Am I doing something wrong?
Okay, do you have paintbrush? Is your opacity at 100%?
Yeah.
So that's 100% opacity, the flow is 100%, and you're on normal, correct?
So it's the brush tool.
The paint, no, it's a paintbrush.
What?
Look at my screen.
Brush tool.
Okay, and the mode is normal, opacity is 100, flows 100%. With that, I'm getting this effect here. Is it working for you now, Jacinta?
Yeah, I'm away now. The heck.
Okay. Okay, so once I had the white kind of, I'm gonna get some bleed over anyway, because I'm gonna go with a bigger brush now, all right? I'm gonna go back to my dodge tool. I'm going to start applying it. Like I said, it's multiple. The reason I'm using multiple is because I can keep in some texture if I wanted to. You see the texture of the mat? I can keep some of that in if I so desire. And that will become more important as I get down the tile area. And around the tile area, and I'm doing this, I may want it blown out, but I may want to keep some of the outside detail. So it's kind of an artistic thing. So I'm generally working with a smaller brush close to the the main subjects. So when I'm close to the dog, you can see I'm just kind of going over multiple times. Another way of approaching this, by the way, is I can have done this totally differently, which is probably a better way, actually. I'm sitting here thinking about it. I could have created another layer and had that layer white and just mask through the picture onto a white background. The only reason, once I get this thing bit done here, which is kind of a time-consuming thing, I do want to keep some of the texture of the tiles in there. Okay, so I get a nice big brush and finish this off here.
She doesn't like it.
And so then I'd probably recrop it.
Huh?
I recropped the image after I got it done to my liking as far as. Now, as far as this all the stuff on the outside edges, I just get a white paintbrush again with the white. It's a nice soft, dreamy effect, I think.
Yeah.
I might even just take it a little bit further, just kind of add a little bit of haze, like a mist kind of effect there. Oh, on the dog's nose. The booties. Okay, so the picture looks pretty good at this stage. What I would probably want to do is sharpen it because it's really kind of blurry. What I would probably do is go to Filter, Sharpen, and I would try Camera Shape and see what that would do. So I'm going to hit that first. But before you do that, you want to save what you've done. File, Save As, and I'll call that New. That'll be on my desktop as well. So just in case the program crashes, which it does occasionally when you use the Unsharp tool. So Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp. I'm sorry, Filter, Sharpen, Camera Shape. Let's see how it handles it. It might do very well. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. And you can see this little box over here. You can see how soft, and you can tell that it actually has a blur there. So it's actually corrected that blur.
Lou, I just managed to take a little bit of the dog's snout off. How can I take it off without having to? We're going to erase, or is it?
Well, I think we're going to approach this whole project here. We're going to do it again. And we're going to approach it a little bit differently, okay? I'm just going to finish this off just so I have it done. Just get your spot healing brush. I can see a couple spots that I want to get rid of. That's not any fault of the baby. It's
What
just,
did you crop it to? Sorry, Lou. What did
An
you
8 by
crop it to?
an 8 by 10. I always crop to an 8 by 10. Let me save this. Well, what I'm going to do, let's approach this whole project a little bit different. You can see how mine's turned out there, all right? But let's approach this whole project another one. If we go back in our history project to just open it up, just back to the beginning. If everybody can do that, we'll approach this whole project from a slightly different perspective.
Do you want us to save that one? No.
Not, well, only if you want to
Yeah.
save it. If you're not going to save it, just go back into your history palette. And if your palette's not there, you can go to Window and History and bring it up. And the slider here on the right, that's where we were at. I can take a snapshot of that actually. If I take a snapshot, it will save that snapshot for me. So I take a snapshot. There's my before and my after. But I'm going to start working on this. It's going to create new, I'm going to lose all this history when I start. But I will still have the snapshot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of take a different approach here. What we're going to do is the background here, we want to double click on that and just make it a layer. All right. It says layer 0, just keep it as layer 0. So that's now layer 0.
Make a copy of this.
I'm not making a copy just yet. I just double clicked the word background and turned it into layer 0.
Okay.
All right. Now I am going to make a new layer, but before I do that, I want my colors over here on the left. I want to reverse them so the background is white. And I'm hoping when I click on the new layer, no, that's the wrong one. Okay, no. What it did is it gave me a transparent background, which is fine. You see the transparent background there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Which did you take on?
okay, let me just go back one step here. Next to the trash bin is a plus sign.
Yeah.
You click on that and it gives you a new layer.
Yeah.
I want to double click on layer 1 and change it to back, or type in background. Well, I can type it'd be better. Okay. So I'm going to move my layer 0 up. I want the background to be in the background. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has layer 0 on top.
Yeah.
And you can rename that baby if you want. Yeah. Okay, so we have a dog and baby on the top, and we have background below. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. turn the eye, we'll click on the background layer. So you click on here. Turn off the eyeball on the baby. So we're just looking at the background layer. And all we're going to do is get our paintbrush and make our foreground color white. And we're going to paint, you can see me painting away here. And if you have a big brush or your paint bucket, you can do it on one click. Just make sure that's all white. I can hear you guys scrubbing away at it.
That's me. Sorry.
Now see, if you get your paint bucket tool, wherever that may be, you can just click once and it fills the whole transparent background with white. Either way, it's the same result. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to turn the eyeball back on the baby layer. And the way I'm showing you how to do this now is that it's a little bit better way of doing it because you can hide and reveal as many times as you want. You can change it. So we're going to put a mask on the baby layer. Make sure you're on the baby layer. And we're going to go put a layer mask on it. And you should have the white board next to the picture. Now, once you have that, you just get paintbrush and black paint, because all we're doing is we're looking through the picture. So I can just go around this as quickly as possible with a nice big brush, right? If I hit the X key, I can then bring back the dog or whatever I want. So the effect, you can choose the effect based on how you want it. With a bigger brush, with black paint, it's going to get that haze effect that we were doing earlier. And you can adjust the size of your brush to get as much as or little as you want. So if you do the same technique with a really small brush like we did at the first go, you can go around the baby very carefully, especially around the ears and the head. So I generally go around the key elements with a smaller brush, much more slowly, and make sure I get them all right. And then I get a bigger brush, and I blend it in like this. Okay. You understand the concept that we're using?
Yeah.
The concept is important because we're not actually painting white, we're painting black to see the white through it, which is very clever. And so you can never get it wrong. You can go back, and with a very small brush, you can, be as careful as you want around the areas like this. If you've gone too far, you hit the X key and you just kind of bring it back. All right. So you can decide how far to take it. And just keep on tapping the X key every time you want to change between the tools, and it will change for you every time.
Lou, would you also use like a quick selection tool or a polygon lasso and cut the
Not in this.
baby? No.
No. No, I would not. There's a polygon allows to draw straight lines, and this is almost all curves.
Yeah.
So you're almost making your job
Get you
harder.
down to, right.
But the most important thing is the concept here. You guys get the concept that about the benefit of using a mask, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, if you're going too far, you can bring things back, hit the XP, and just go the opposite way and hide things a little bit more. Okay. It's really great if you're trying to create like a fog effect. Just so you know, you get your paintbrush with what I mean, with the black paint in this case, and just get a really big brush, and I can create a haze. You know, and some people really like that effect, just kind of hazing it. So you're drawn to the main elements, which is right there. Even some people would like a high key picture, just like this, even though it's a bit slightly washed out. When it's slightly washed out like that, I can go to Control L and bring back some of the blacks to it and create the contrast again that we're missing. You see how by dragging these bars in, I've created the contrast again.
You see that?
Yeah.
When you made that washed out effect, did you reduce the opacity or something, no?
What's that?
That washed. The washed out effect, how did you get it?
I just use a really big paintbrush.
Did you reduce the opacity?
No, I just, let me go back a few steps here.
Had you the opacity still at 100?
Yeah, let me go back. Let me show you what I have here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I have the picture here. It's good contrast here. I have my paintbrush. I have white paint. I'm at 100% opacity, but look at the size of my brush. It's huge. So when I click it, it bleeds into the picture. And when I get it on the head, I actually should make it smaller. So I don't want to bleed too much into the head. Some people like that misty kind of picture. And I can grab my burn tool and I can take my midtones and make them a little bit darker with the burn tool. So you can play with it till you get an effect that you like. That's the thing here. Okay. I mean, this sharpen here might be exactly what your wife's looking for. You know.
Yeah.
So I have the same sharpening effect that we used before. And I'll save this as file, save as, and I'll call it new 2.
That's a pretty handy tool, the shake reduction, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but it only works if it's actually shake reduction or there's camera shake in it. If there's no camera shake in, it doesn't work too well.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the difference, Lou? You see when you have the filter there, and you, some of them the other day, one of them you did shake reduction, but then you had a different one. Let me go back. Filter.
Go back and
Yeah, shape. What's the difference between shape reduction and on-sharp mask?
on Sharp Mac, shake reduction looks for blur lines and their areas of blur where the image is blurred along certain lines. The camera Sharpen on Sharp looks at the entire image and basically it's sharp. I know it's a horrible name. They should just call it Sharpen, but use the on Sharp tool to actually increase the sharpness.
Ah, so that increases the sharpness.
Yeah, you're saying on sharp, but you're actually increasing the sharpness. Let me open up this picture right here.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah, that's
So
shape.
yeah, it's filter, sharpen, on sharp, and I can see the eye there, right? And when I click on the picture, I can see that's before and after. If I click, it's before and after. It's not much of a difference on this thing because the picture is out of focus. All right. You can see a little bit of the, see the edge there?
Mm-hmm.
So that's in the preview. You can turn the preview on and off. And you can see the difference. In some pictures, you're going to see a huge difference in that. But on sharp is really a sharpening tool. All right. Okay. Let's go to our third and final picture. And this is the picture that Jacinta sent me. So we're going to open up the old window. And so I'm here in Bridge, and I see how much of the whites I can recover. It's pretty blown out.
Well, I sent you that, Lou, because I made, when I took that photograph, I just wanted to know, what I was trying to work out was, I put in, I allowed for the exposure because when I was, it looked very dark, and then I increased the exposure. And I just want to, I know you said if I was to do that again, to do it at f22 or something, because there's so much light coming in. And I just was wondering whether it was salvageable. Is that the word?
Okay, you want to generally take 2 exposures in a situation like that, one for the window and one for the surrounding areas. Let me open up a picture. Well, let me cancel this for a second. This here is an aerial shot in my house, right? Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, I took the bottom half of this picture is one exposure, and this area through here in the sky was a second exposure where I exposed just for the because you can't get this and this in one shot because this is blown out white. So I took one shot of just the sky and took another shot of just the house. And then I put a mask on the 2 pictures here like we did with the dog, and I brought back very carefully with a huge brush, you can see the effects here. All right. When you're working on your picture, for instance, on this picture, you would take one shot for the exposure of the walls and the general area around here. You then would take a second picture by pointing your camera to the highlights here and just put it on program mode and have it take another picture of just this here. If you press your shutter, you can get the reading of what the exposure would be like for this window. That's if you want to have both. Now, I kind of like the blown out effect. Let's just see what details are hidden in here, if there's any. So if we take our highlights and try to recover them, you can see that there's nothing there. It's gone pure white. So the whites are lost. All right. So that is what it's going to be. So we're going to have to set up for that. The shadow area, we can try to brighten that, and we can by taking the shadows, and I put plus 76, and then I can go to dehaze and just move that over a little bit for the more contrast in those areas. We're getting some angles on this thing. I would try to get my perspective crop and put it on auto and see what it does with it. So I go up here, click on this tool here, and I click on auto.
I didn't really straighten it.
Yeah, I just want to see what it does. It still has the angles there, but we'll fix those in Photoshop. So I'm going to click on open. Okay. So an easy thing now, I'm still on the crop tool. So if I just bring in my crop a little bit, and just on the outside of the crop, when I take my crop tool outside of the box, it has two arrows, which means I can rotate the picture. So I'm going to rotate it until this is straight. Actually, the horizontal line is the most important one. This vertical line here, going up and down. I'm going to do that till that's straight. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to now see about this angle line here. I don't like that angle line there. So to fix that, I need my perspective crop tool. And I'm going to click outside and drag it down below to the right until the whole thing is selected. And now we're just going to take in the right angle here until that's straight. And on this side, I'm going to take in this side until, see the angle right there? That's the same as this angle on this side here. And the table looks like it's leaning up, so I want to pull the table up. So the table looks like it's right now. The angle of that window looks right. This is at an angle here, but I just want to see what that looks like. I think that looks pretty good. Because these windows, the window's more of a centerpiece than anything else. Anybody have any luck with that?
Yeah.
Now, in this kind of picture, unfortunately, because the exposure is blown out, you're going to lose some details around the edges and stuff like that. But you can try to, if you have lemons, you make lemonade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sponge tool And that would be underneath the dodge or burn tool. With a nice big brush. And it's gonna be a big
How
soft
big a
brush.
brush?
Well, look at my brush on the screen. Can you see it?
Mine's bigger.
Well, excuse me.
133.
Just
Let's not get aggressive here now. I want to saturate. And around 35%, I mean, you can go 100%, but at 35%, I can put a stroke on there, see what it looks like, put another stroke on there. That looks good. Okay, I'll stop there. So you can just add a few little strokes of saturation and just see what happens to it. You don't want to go too crazy.
yeah.
It just adds a little bit of character to it. Now, the picture looks a bit flat here. I just noticed that she has like a VCR or something, a little radio player here. Doesn't really fit into the picture. Just
Well, if you thought I was going to put a pair of gloves and start removing the stuff, there's another thing coming.
Actually, it's kind of cool. It's an old rusty little VCR in a pipe, old pipe. So you have some cool little stuff in there. So, okay, what I want to do is let's try to sharpen it. Now, I would generally go into topaz to sharpen, but we're limited here. So we're going to go to filter, sharpen, and we'll try camera shaking. Did you shoot on a tripod, Jacinta?
I did.
Okay, in that case, we're going to go to unsharpen because there is no camera shake. So we're going to go to unsharpen and take this up. I normally only go to 100%, but I want to just emphasize this. Or the other way is, let's cancel that. The better way is, let's go to our Sharpen tool. Because with the Sharpen tool, we're not using a sledgehammer approach. Basically, I can just go over the window and sharpen the window and stop before it gets all pixely. The tape deck, the sockets, just the things that are of interest to me. That's all I'm going to sharpen.
Would you sharpen my VCR?
Did you?
Yeah.
Did it?
Just put a bit more sharpening on the cobwebs. Now, the one thing I'm noticing here is, if you notice this area here and through here, I'm getting a color shift. I don't know why, but this is kind of greenish one, and this is kind of blue here. To show you how to correct that kind of stuff, basically I'm going to just get my lasso tool, my regular lasso tool.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to draw a rough line around this area here, like I've done.
Including the wall of the window.
Yeah, I can hold my Alt key down, take away a little bit of it. I think I have too much, and I can take away some of that, this area here. So Alt subtracts, Shift adds. But I want this to be a very fluid type of selection. So what I want to do, I want to go to filter, select, modify, and feather. That's select, modify, and feather. And I want to do about 200 pixels. So 200 pixels. I'm going to click OK. And the shape changes a bit, but I can see how soft that is by clicking on underneath your color picker down here. You click on that, it shows you where the mask is. And that looks really nice to me. Do you see it?
Go back and do that
No.
again.
My mask is everywhere.
Well, it should only be there. If your selection is here,
Yeah.
and you click on that box, now you may have selected it so that everything is selected except for this.
Oh, I have, yeah.
Okay.
I have it all masked.
I think if you double click it, it gives you up, double click it, and you can say selected area, or you can click on the selected areas only, which is, I prefer that.
Where did
So
you,
if you,
where did you get that mask option box?
okay, if it's right down here, but if you double click it, you can change it so it shows, click twice, and you can put it onto selected areas only. And it should look like mine then, or roughly. That's what's going to be masked.
Mine's, yeah, mine's very red.
Yes, mine's very red too.
Okay.
Okay, just turn off the mask, and what we're going to do is we're going to click on color
Lou, sorry,
B.
Lou, when I went into the select, modify, feather, and put in 200, it says no pixels are more than 50% selected. Does that mean I haven't enough selected, or what does that mean?
I think I sent you guys the same file that I used. Does your selection look like mine here, Jacinta?
I'll just go back and redo it. I'm going to go back and redo it. Control D. And lasso again. Right, start here. Right, okay. And then I'm going to select.
While you're doing that, Jacinta, I'm going to hit Control B as in boy, and I want to add, that's my color balance, I want to add more green and a little more red. So that my right side looks more like my left side. And when I click OK, you're not going to see any line there because it's a very soft feather on the edge. And Control D to get rid of the ants.
Was it just green you went up with?
Green and a little bit of, no, I added more green, Jacinta, and I add a little bit more red. Okay. We're going to click on our spot healing brush. Let's get rid of that and that red maybe. Things are going to pull your eyes away. So the problem with this picture in a competition is there's really no focal point. Everything's kind of a focal point. But it's an interesting looking picture. Let's just take a look at our history brush. I mean our history palette, and look at before. That's what we started with right there, right? And that's what we ended up with. So it's kind of a nice little image here, Jacinta.
Yeah.
You need a focal point. Now I probably would have taken the cassette player out and put the lantern as a focal point next to a pipe, because you have the pipe here. You have an old pipe laying there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you could crop. You could have taken a picture if that's a statue there. I think it probably is a statue. I'm not sure, or thermometer maybe. Looks like a thermometer.
Not either.
If it was a statue, I would have taken this as my picture maybe and just made it just of that area there. If it was a statue there, it had nice light.
No, I don't. I think it's yeah. No, I have another. I have a better photograph without the light, with not as much light, because I thought that because it was such a dark, there was no light. It was very, very dark. To try and bring up the light, I put in exposure compensation. But then you said with other light that you'd be better shooting it at because it was light coming in that window. If I had shot at f/22 or f/18 or something.
Well, what I'm going to do with you, Jacinta, is next time we're together, I'll show you how to bracket an image where your camera automatically takes your exposure as it is, and it takes one below and one above. So you have 3 different exposures. And I when I'm in a hurry and I'm shooting stuff like this, and I don't know exactly what the exposure is. I have an idea. I'll put in the idea and I'll have it do 5 exposures, 2 above, 2 below, and 1 on. And out of those 5 pictures, I'll get 1 that I'm happy to work with, and I might use 1 as a sky or something like that. All right?
Yeah, because I just like to because most of these places are, well, with the odd exception, are very, very dark. And, it's just when you get the opportunity to try and take it.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
You can take this picture and just pump the saturation, and get something really crazy like this looking. Or you could take the image and hit Control-Shift-U, make it a black and white. Ever do that? Just hit Control-Shift-U.
Actually, that's quite nice, isn't it?
And when you have it in Control-Shift-U, once you have the image as black and white, you go to Control-L and make sure the blacks are black and the whites are white. And then you maybe darken the midtones just to make it more of an interesting, a good contrast black and white for printing, as you can see on my screen there. So is it better black and white?
So what did you bring the whites up to? What did you bring the whites up to? 250 or more?
I take the whites at they're at 255 right there, and the blacks are at 0. That's it for tonight, guys.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Lou.
Great, Lou. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No problem. Can everybody send me another picture so we can have another class?
Yep.
I really enjoy working on your guys' image more than I do like working on my own. All right.
Lou?
Okay,
Yeah. That'd be great, Lou.
Yeah, Martin.
Right, Lou. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Lou.
Okay.
All the best.
Thanks
Okay,
very
guys.
much.
Cheers now.
Right now.
Thank you.
I've been 2 weeks and I haven't had a blip.
You're doing great.
I have a blip.
Keep it
I
up.
have a blipped out.